Dude, if I was Vladimir Putin, man, if I was King Jong Un, this would be the time to attack, bro. I would get all of my best soldiers. I would get all of my best KBG members, and we would be going right after America right now. Could you imagine, bro? Could you? So if you're a, if you're one of the leading powers in the world, and for so long America's had like the upper hand on everybody. We've had like the strongest military. We've always had like the ability to protect ourselves and protect our whole country. Um, and we're like the ultimate powerhouse in the world. And, we still are. But could you imagine if you're sitting there in Moscow, Russia, or wherever Vladimir Putin hangs out with his boys, and you're watching the news, and you see a bunch of Americans, shutting down businesses and telling people to go home, shutting down the economy, firing people left and right. Not firing, but laying people off, giving out unemployment like it's candy at or chocolate at a chocolate factory, and people are depressed, sad, anxious, looking for work, can't find work, and on top of that, you have cities just going up in flames every day. You have social injustice. Everything's like boiling. Like we're like a big pot, and all of our issues that like our countries try to like put away for so long are just they're coming to the surface. Just like everything happens, everything eventually comes to the surface. You can't just bury blemishes for so long, man. You gotta recognize them, and more than just recognize them, you gotta fix them. And I think for so long we've just haven't fixed them. We put quick little patches over them, but we haven't actually done anything to truly sew it up, to give it the attention it needs. And I think it's at that point now where we're starting to recognize that. I'm recording this podcast like 5 days in advance. I'm going to be on vacation. I'm leaving the 12th of June, and I'm not going to be back until like the 19th or the 20th. So I'm trying to get a bunch of podcasts pre-recorded, so you guys so I can keep up with my schedule. Tuesday and Thursday, 5 p.m. on YouTube, 6 a.m. on audio platforms. There's a lot of people that don't even know that this podcast comes out on audio, which is probably my fault. But if you do watch this on YouTube, and for some reason, like I'm for podcasts, for me, I watch podcasts on YouTube even when I'm driving. Yeah, I don't know. I don't watch the video. I'm just so used to having it on YouTube. I don't really watch podcasts on audio platforms, but they are on audio platforms. You can watch them on Apple Podcasts or listen to them on Apple Podcast. Google has a podcast platform. Spotify has a Google platform, a podcast platform. Breaker. But there's a lot of different audio platforms you can listen to them on. If you do that, just subscribe, follow it. Make sure you leave it a rating. I think we're averaging 5 stars. I got 1 3-star rating, which I wish there was written information for me to adjust it. Like the one I did get feedback, I got a 4-star rating, but the girl said the audio was bad, and it was. And right when I got that feedback, I went ahead and purchased this nice arm, and I got my new mic. Should be coming in any day now, probably within the next week. So I listen to people, and I make sure I get the best stuff. So you guys have a good time listening to the podcast. But you can't just have issues and not recognize them. And it never works that way, even at a personal level. For so much of my life, my short, young, 23-year-old life, I've had things come up with my personality that could be adjusted. Staying quiet when I should have spoke, explaining my feelings to somebody who's close to me so we can work on issues, saying I don't like something, And instead of not saying anything, or instead of saying something to have it fixed, I just say nothing. Physical appearance, being overweight, which affects my personality tremendously. Saying it's okay for me to be a certain weight when in reality, shit makes me sad, and I hate it. And I hate feeling fat. Recognizing these flaws and, taking the time to work on them. That's something that I've had to work on. It's something where it popped up every once in a while. And when it popped up, I had two choices. I could just move on, act like it never appeared, which is common. Or I could, put it in my scope and actually work on it. And as a person, that's really important. There's something powerful about transforming your body from a physical sense, taking care of it, the food you put into it, the fuel you feed it, the way you move it, the way you work out, the way you develop your body. All that helps at a physical being, which in turn helps at an emotional state, an emotional being, and from a mental position too. And you check yourself. You can regulate yourself. See if you're going too far one way. If you're going too far the other way. It's good to have a inventory on your body and on your mental health. And I think for so long in the United States, and when I speak on things like this, I am not ashamed of being an American. I love this country. I truly believe this is the greatest country this world has ever known. And I think that's why I speak on it, because I do care so much about the country. I do believe we have freedoms that no other country has. These protests don't exist in a lot of countries. The military doesn't become in question in a lot of. There's no question that the military won't be released on its own people. I know we have a president who is definitely showcases an array of narcissistic personality traits, is very egocentric, in some ways racist, and somebody who does have a lot of flaws. But at the end of the day, he did not release the military. He threatened to. But in a lot of countries, there's no threatening. There's no warning. You just unload the dogs, and next thing you know, your protest, which is illegal in a lot of countries, is now being shot up and bombed, and tanks are flowing through them from the country's military. So there's a lot of flaws in this country, but I like to speak on them because I do care about the future, and I do care about equality, and I do care about minorities in segments of our population not being recognized, not being shared the same equal opportunities. For so long, I've been naive to systematic racism. I didn't even know what it was. That's part of it. The part of the issue is people not being in a position to become aware of the unknown, being entrapped in a bubble where everywhere they look, it's what they know. They're not forced in a position where they have to recognize, or they have to understand, or they even have to be in a position where they don't feel comfortable, And I think that's one of the steps that we can all take to open up a line of communication with people that we are people that maybe we don't understand as well. Not by choice, but by the way our life has unfolded. Back on track to the United States. There's been a lot of things, a lot of blemishes that we've tried to cover up with makeup. Instead of actually buying a skin product and getting rid of the acne, we just try to put mascara on it. And I think right now with social media is the oil and grease to acne. It increases the acne, brings it back quicker. You can't cover it up. You put makeup on it, but another patch breaks out somewhere else across your face. And that's what social media is. Will Smith said racism hasn't gotten worse. Racism has not gotten worse. Social media has just become more prominent. He said something along those lines. And, a lot of that, I personally believe that that's true. Social media does showcase the failures of a society. And it does it in a non-emotional way. It doesn't care about if you don't want to see this or if you do want to see this. The videos are there. There's videos of, obviously, with George Floyd. There's videos of the 75-year-old man who got pushed over by a police officer. The social media is a tool that brings a world together, but it can also divide a world. And I think divide it for a good reason. But there's a lot of things that need to be addressed. Systematic racism's one. Inequalities for minorities and genders is another one. I think wealth distribution is another one. Public servants not being trained up to the quality that they should be. It's a little ridiculous. I overheard my dad talking about there's a bill, I think, or there's some type of ruling or law that's being pushed through Minneapolis to just get rid of the police force. No, that's not a good idea. You shouldn't get rid of the police force. It's a horrible idea. People don't police themselves. It's not how it works. People aren't designed to police themselves. I think there's a level of biology that people, I think, often fail to realize with humans is we're territorial. We're very tribal. We're selfish. We want what's ours, and if ours is not being presented, we will attack a group that we think is oppressing what's ours. And what happens is if you get rid of the police force, I would say 1 to 2 weeks goes by where there's peace. But once that one person in the group, the Ted Bundy in the group, wants something, he or she will get it, take. And then once it's taken from somebody, the person who's had it taken from is going to want to take it from somewhere else. Revenge is a human emotion that has to be controlled, but fails to be controlled very often. And I think I don't know why people fail to realize that. But the idea that a city or a state or a county or a town, or country as a whole can be policed by themselves, it's just doesn't work that way. Anarchy would take over. That'd be all bad. That'd be chaos. So yeah, let's not do that. Let's make sure that doesn't happen. But people get upset when blemishes start appearing and they feel that there's no recourse of action. There's no betterment. There's no process to make it better. It's not being recognized. And I think a huge step the right step forward was all those police officers being charged. I don't know exactly what the police officers are charged for. I know the 4 gentlemen, 4 cops arrested. You shouldn't do this during George Floyd's arrest. It's interesting. All 4 police officers involved in this killing now face charges. I think the main guy, I don't know his name. I don't want to say something that's completely wrong. All right. Derrick Chavin, who was was a gentleman who took the knee and rested it and pressed it violently against George Floyd's neck until he died. Was charged with was arrested last week and is being held at the Minnesota Department of Correction facility. His bail was increased to $1 million. He was charged with second-degree murder. The other three police officers, Alexander Keong, Thomas Lane, and To Tao, are being charged with aiding and abetting second-degree murder and aiding and abetting second-degree manslaughter. So justice is being served. Thank God. That's something that is a huge part of the outrage, is that justice hasn't been served before. There's this representation that police officers have carried through these murders, through these incidents. Sorry about that. Incidents where they act in a certain way that causes death, acting negligent in all the cases, and then they get away with it. And that's the biggest issue, is that people feel that they are getting away with it because they are getting away with it. So now that all the officers have been charged, I do think that's going to severely reduce the riots. Thank God. But yeah, it's social media is just showcasing all the blemishes that this country has, and it's going to be a long way to fix it. And I think it's one of those things where I think starting in the 60s, in the 50s, from that point now, a lot of change has taken place. And I think you always want it quicker, right? You always want change to happen quicker. But the truth of the matter is there has been a shit ton of change. Not enough. I agree. Not enough change. Not fast enough. Definitely not fast enough. And it doesn't always seem right. But there has been a lot of change. A lot of equality has been given, has been fought for violently and civilly. And it's going to continue, and it should continue until all people are created equal, like the dollar bill says. It's going to take time, but it will get there. Keep the police officers. We can't remove them from their position. I'm telling you, that's a bad idea. Nothing good comes from that. One thing that I do kind of find ironic, and I think when the OITMB, Orange is the New Black, came out, season 5 came out, is at the same time that the incident happened in Baltimore. I think with Freddie Gray. Let me look this up. I don't want to get any of these facts wrong. Freddie Gray, I think, was a young gentleman. Yeah, he was a young gentleman who died to April 12th to April 19th. Freddie Gray is a young gentleman who died in the back of the police van in Baltimore. Let me look up OITMB, which is Orange is the New Black. Season 5. Okay, so season 5 came out in 2013. I'm sure there was police shootings and innocent black men getting murdered by cops before that. But Orange is the New Black is a TV show that's based out of a prison, a female's prison, and you can tell that the TV show, they have a agenda. They have certain goals that they're trying to accomplish. A lot of equality goals. A lot of they have a message to push. A lot of female rights, LGBTQ rights, minority rights. They're trying to push a message, which is they're provocative, and it's absolutely their right, and they should do it. They should do it as much as they want. But season 5 is, spoiler alert, by the way, season 5 is the season where there's a riots. And the riots take place because of a character named Pussy. She was a young female who's an African American, and she was murdered by a CO, by a correctional officer. His knee, or not his knee, but his arm choked her out and killed her because he was trying to fight off somebody else. And the riots take place because no justice has been served. The officer hasn't been arrested, and I think, at least where I'm watching it right now, they still haven't been arrested. and I'm sure he will arrest. I think he's going to commit suicide before that takes place. But the riots take place, and they ask for certain demands. They want certain things from the state. They want the CO to be arrested. They want the CO to be charged with life in prison because he did murder one of their inmates. And it's so, as I'm watching it, the parallels are so obvious. It's exactly what's going on today. It's exactly what's happening, and it stands the time because it's not a one-time incident. George Floyd is not a one-time incident. It's an incident that takes place way too often. Way too often. And in the TV show, you can see it. You can see the characters. How the characters in the TV show, they want certain demands. They're demanding certain things. And 2013 to 2015, Freddie Gray took place. 2020, 7 years later, shit is still taking place. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, holy shit, this is exactly what's happening in today's world. Right now, as we speak, this is exactly what's happening. So it is an issue. And I really do believe that this was a huge step forward. A lot of cities are acting in a very professional way. Annapolis, they had their protests, but they didn't turn into riots. They were peaceful. Everyone acted like a good citizen. Change is going to take place, and I think it's going to happen quicker than it should. I mean, it's going to happen quicker, which is good. It needs to happen quick. But yeah, it's been a crazy month, right? 2020 has been a crazy, crazy year. Between this and COVID, shit's finally starting to open back up. I do, like I said before in our podcast, though, I really do worry about this month. I think June is by far the most important month we have. This could be the make it or break it month. This is the pivot month. This is the month where if cases do not drop and we don't expedite a vaccine between now and August, mid-September, early October, if there's another outbreak, I mean, we could go right back to where we were before. And at this point, that's not good. I mean, we're already going to suffer economically because of this. I think unemployment dropped 10%, 10% during April to May. 1%, which is when there's 350 million people, that's a shit ton of people getting new jobs. And I think that's because most of the states are going back to normal. I see a lot of states like Florida, Georgia, Texas. I follow people on Instagram who work out in the gyms in those states, and they are completely back to normal. No mask being worn in those states. A lot of restaurants, people are going out to eat. My parents went out to eat outside. People are partying again. These protests took place, and obviously nobody social distanced during those. I think COVID, it's a weird one, right? I mean, COVID has been so strange from the beginning because I think people are starting to get to the point where they're confused. I think I hope people are finally finding themselves in a position to think on their own and to question news sources that they get their information from. I'm always so shocked how people can be so one-sided on any debate when it comes to anything. Like, get rid of all the cops. COVID kills everybody. It's the worst disease of all time. And then there's a flip side of that where it's keep the cops, train them better. COVID is just a cold, pretty much. COVID doesn't kill everybody, it just kills people who are really old. And how there could be two completely different views and sides of the story of the coin, but nobody's willing to look at the other side of the coin. They just run with their side. And that's something that is something that needs to be addressed immediately. You need to question your beliefs. I think that is the root of all of this, is people neglect questioning their own viewpoints on things. If you believe something, I think you have to understand that the fact that you believe in something means that you at one point didn't believe in that, or you had to develop that thought. So that time of your life where you develop that thought, it could easily be swayed. And that's not a sign of weakness. Changing your viewpoint on something, listening to another person's opinion on something, up to the point where you feel like, oh, mine's a little off. Maybe I should, adapt what they believe in, adapt what the other party believes in, adapt what that Trump supporter believes in. I think being able to adapt is the ultimate way you can bridge the gap for this inequality that's taking place, for feelings that you have towards somebody. You have to be able to build your own bridge and to grab some thoughts and bring them over. And if you can't do that, the least you could do is to listen to people in a healthy, in a responsible way, and not to be aggressive with people. If you attack somebody just like that because of what you believe is not what you think they should believe, and you think they're wrong for believing it, there's going to be an issue, because that person is going to feel like that you were rude to them. And now it's not about belief. It's about personal feelings you have towards somebody. Resentment builds, walls build. And I think that's something that needs to be addressed immediately. People need to start being kinder to one another, caring for each other more, giving people the benefit of the doubt more. Assume that people are good people. It's something that I struggle with a lot, is I assume people are bad until I believe that they're good, which is not, I don't think that's a healthy personality trait I have. But yeah, I think everything's starting to bubble up in this country. We're starting to see the flaws that we have. Even though we're great and we do great things, you can't fall back on that. You can't always end an argument saying, well, I'm still proud. We're still the best country in the world. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. That's complacency. That gets you nowhere. If you are a serial killer, when you killed 10 people and all the other serial killers killed more than 15 people, yeah, that makes you the nicest serial killer, I guess. And I'm not comparing the United States to serial killers, but what I'm saying is complacency and comparing yourself to people around you is not a sign of effectiveness, and it's a sign of a good thing. It's a sign of, yes, you're better than your competitors, but it's not about that. It's about, I think, the sign of a great country and the sign of a great anything. The best anything is to adapt and to keep on progressing yourself on your own. But complacency takes that down immediately. It dismembers that. Complacency does not allow you to grow. It does not allow the country to become better. It does not allow people to recognize their flaws and work on them. It is the root of a bottoming out of anything. But yeah, this is just my opinions. I know this podcast has kind of been all over the place. Just, I don't want to keep on pressing and talking about the protest. I gave my 2 thoughts. I gave my opinion. And I think it was accepted well by a lot of people. And I'm thankful for that. I really am. I'm thankful for everybody who did take the time to listen to what I had to say. Because I thought what I had to say was fair. I think it was fair. I think what I said was acceptable by both sides, And I think what I said, I still believe, and I still back what I said. I still think what I said was needed. I do think the police academies need to be held to a higher standard. I think management needs to be watched better. I think power is too much in the hands of a few people. That's never a good situation when that happens. And I think rights need to be expedited much quicker. Can you guys see me sweating? I'm sweating right now. It is so hot, dude. My armpits. You guys see that? I'm sweating my ass off right now. But thank you guys so much for all the feedback. I really do. I can't do this without you guys. I'm so blessed to be in this position that I'm in, where I could just sit up here and talk, and you guys listen to what I have to say. Some of it's good, some of it's not good. Obviously, when you do 90 episodes of anything, you're going to run into things that maybe you shouldn't have said. But I have no issue with going back and listening to myself and being like, fuck, maybe I shouldn't have said that. That was rude. That was insensitive. And at the end of the day, that's the root of all this. People need to do that. We need to make a better effort to go back on what we said and question what we say and why did we say what we said and fix it. We need to start fixing shit like that. But pivotal month. It's going to be a big month for us. I really hope that the vaccine gets pushed through quicker and everyone could just start getting shot out with the vaccine. And god damn it, dude, I really hope people get the vaccine. If there's anti-vaccine people out there running around, the same people who think vaccines give autism, I hope those people just lose their social media accounts, because if there becomes a movement for people saying don't get the vaccine, it's a way the government controls you, get the fuck out of here, just get the vaccine. Got it. When that comes out, I really hope there's not a movement to not get the vaccine. And I'm a hypocrite because I don't get the flu vaccine every year. I'm going to start getting it, though, because I did get the flu this year, which I think I could have had coronavirus, but everyone says that. But I don't think so. I just had the flu. I came back positive for the flu. But I hope everyone takes the time to take the fucking vaccine when it comes out so we can push through this, so we can get back to our normal world, as much normalcy as possible. So we can all get off unemployment. We can all start working. We can all start being mentally healthy again. We can all start visiting each other. I hope we can get together for Thanksgiving this year. I hope there's no reason. There should be no reason we can't. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Once again, I know it's a shorter episode, but I am sweating my ass off, and I don't want to keep pushing on the protest. I've said what I said. I said what I wanted to say. I have nothing more to say on it unless something comes out again. Thank God the cops are arrested. I hope they don't get released early. I hope something doesn't go haywire where they don't get charged. That would be utter chaos throughout the country. Rightfully so. Also, by the way, rightfully so. Don't be complacent. Keep challenging your views on the world. Keep communicating with other people. Keep the lines of communication with all types of people wide open, all cultures, all races, all ethnicities, all anything, all sects of the population. SECTS. Don't become complacent or arrogant. I love you guys. I'll catch you guys in episode 95 of the Michael Live Show. Thank you so much. Peace out. See you.